Hello there and welcome to what is perhaps, potentially, the worst art video ever made. I don't know if you could hear anything in the background, but there is an electric generator running because currently we have no electricity, which is exactly the same for many other probably 100,000 residents around in our area, because recently a great windstorm swept through just a few days ago. You know, all the winds of the earth turned up at the same time and they just wrecked the place basically. They took down all the power lines, trees fell on houses. Then we got 85 millimeters of rain. A few tragedies happened to some poor people who were swept away in floodwater as well. Unfortunately, some people just aren't aware of the dangers of floodwaters. They can be very deceptive. So don't try and drive or swim in floodwaters. Who knows what might be in there? Strong currents, dangerous debris. Anyway, I took the dog for a walk first thing in the morning, and I had a look at the carnage that the winds had done to property around our house. And there were quite a few quite large trees down actually. There were some massive, like mountain ash trees. And they're like, I don't know, 30 meters high or something. Pretty high. Maybe that's a bit of a overestimate, but and there was also a massive pine tree down as well. Anyway, the reason why this may be the worst art video ever made is because, well, there's an electric generator running in the background, which is just used to run our fridges and a few other things, but unfortunately no lighting throughout the house, which is why I'm currently sitting in the dark. But I do have a few torches. I've got this head torch here. I can try and hang that up somewhere like that. Maybe that will be good. Yep. I did have a great video planned this week that I was going to edit on my desktop computer, but now all I have is a phone, so that will just have to do. Anyway, you'll get that other video later, but for now all I have is this hat and also a selection of random pens from my collection. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a selection of pens in my hat. Pens that I either hate or really like. And then I'm going to take a random pen out of the hat after shaking it up a bit. And then I'm going to draw with it. So we have, maybe we'll start with this thing, for example. This terrifying contraption. Don't ask questions. So that's going in the hat. We also will put in a Pigma Micron. We'll also put in this dip pen made out of bamboo. And we'll also put in a very ancient Pentel Serenomatic Drafting Pro, 0.5 millimeters. A Copic Multiliner SP. This is a brush model. We'll put in a Pigma brush pen. And also this Faber-Castell Pit Artist Fine Liner. Now I'm going to close up the hat. I'm going to shake it up a bit. Oh, some are escaping. Get back in there. This hat isn't big enough. I'm going to close my eyes and shake it up. Okay, here we go. Then I'm going to put my finger in the hat, and the first one I touch is the one I'm going to draw with. I can't even find the opening of the hat. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. What am I touching? It is... What is it? Please be... Oh, no. No. Why? It's this. This monstrosity which I made ages ago. Okay, and I need a pen to insert in it, so I'll give it a pick one of these as well. It is... Oh, okay. Faber-Castell. No, okay, right. I draw the line there. That thing's too nice. I'm going to pick a pen which I don't like. Just stick in this thing. There we go. There we go. Now let's use this terrible device I've made. I originally made this device as a lazy way to do stippling, but it did not work out as intended. We'll need to jam something in here to keep the pen in place. Let us begin. Crazy, man. Look, I'm stippling. I've got no idea what I'm drawing. I have literally zero plans. That's the entire content of this video, in case you're wondering. Zero plans, because they've been ruined otherwise by the lack of civilized amenities. The great thing about this pen vibrator, can I call it a pen vibrator? I don't know. I never actually named this thing, you know. Should I call it the Vibratron? Yes, anyway, the good thing about it disguises the sound of the petrol generator I have running in the background of this video, potentially. Kind of weird. It's weird. This whole video is a bit weird. Before I started this video, I thought I would just automatically start thinking of things to say. I thought, oh, my brain's a wealth of information. All sorts of things will simply just emerge if I start recording. But no, can't think of anything at all. I suppose if I just continue to chat to myself like this, eventually I will think of something. It's very interesting, as I scrub backwards and forwards with this vibrating pen, interesting textures and patterns just start to emerge out of the noise. What does it mean? I'm just going to do a great big section here of darkness, but with the pen vibrating machine. See what patterns emerge. Man, that's weird. It almost looks like waves of the sea, doesn't it? No, I'm starting to like this Vibratron. That's a name I just invented a little while ago, in case you just tuned in. Oh, if you hold it at different angles, new patterns will emerge. This is more of a squiggly figure 8 pattern. That's crazy. I would love to know what I'm drawing right now. That would be fantastic. What am I drawing? What is this? Any ideas? So far it just seems to be pretty randomly generated. Putting some stripes on this big long piece to give it some form, I think. So tell me, is listening to this pen, if you can hear it at all, maybe there's some automatic noise cancellation software in my phone here which is trying to cancel it out. But is it the most relaxing thing you've ever heard? Certainly sending my fingers asleep anyway. All the vibrations. It's messing with my nerves. You know, I started this piece with literally zero artistic vision at all. Yes, the artistic vision I originally began with involved drawing with, you know, a vastly different pen. And I mainly threw this one in the hat, basically to, mess around with myself just a bit. Make, the video a bit more interesting, thinking, oh, I hope he doesn't pick that. That thing looks ridiculous, and unfortunately I picked it. So anyway, I shot myself in the foot. But the more I work on this, the more I'm beginning to like it. I can see some shapes and forms slowly taking shape in here. It's a bit of a automatic drawing, I suppose. So just a bit of fun, a bit of free expression. Automatic drawing is also called intuitive drawing. But I think the word automatic is, well, it's a bit deceptive, I think. It doesn't truly happen by itself. I think it's more about just letting your mind wander. It's just a relaxing process where you can let your mind wander and basically do all the mistakes you ever wanted to do on a piece of paper in one go. And then not only, be proud of these so-called mistakes, but also keep on adding to them and exaggerating them until interesting forms emerge. That's what I think automatic drawing is anyway. It's kind of what you would draw if you had never actually seen anything before in your life. There's few recognizable shapes or forms. You're instantly given a pen and a piece of paper, and then all of a sudden a pair of eyes, and you're told to draw something with only a very basic understanding of shape and form, but without actually knowing what anything looks like. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun for someone who likes to draw. But I wouldn't use it as a practice for someone who is actively trying to learn how to draw, If you enjoy drawing, you can just do this as a bit of relaxation. But if you're trying to learn how to draw and how to illustrate something that people can recognize, then maybe I would avoid practices like this. Or just don't overdo it anyway, because you're really not learning anything, are you? Yeah, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say don't avoid it. It might be a good practice to do because you get to learn, how to maybe texture certain forms or something. It's an outlet, basically. It is pretty nice. It's pretty fun. But I do also want to draw things that people can recognise as well. Oh dear. It's becoming a bit like a face. There's two eyes here. Now I feel the urge to add some nostrils. Now this is becoming a bit of a beak. Oh no. I've seen form now. I've seen something that could be a recognisable object. I feel the urge to keep on exaggerating the form I've recognised. I think that's the main difference between automatic drawing and just regular drawing. A normal drawing, you have a goal, a vision in mind, a place you're trying to get to, where the only goal with automatic drawing is basically the journey you take, just the act of drawing. I guess that could also explain the difference between doodling and drawing as well. A doodle is a drawing that is kind of an automatic drawing, a doodle, yes. It's sort of an automatic drawing, except the end result is something that you may want to show to someone else. But an automatic drawing is basically just for the artist who drew it while they were actually drawing the thing. Okay, yes, I think I have figured it out. But you don't have to agree if you want to. Now let me tell you the reason why I picked this Pigma Micron to be my Vibratron pen. The reason is because, well, I don't actually like this particular Pigma Micron as a fine liner. It did not impress me very much. I think mostly because this particular pen here it's a bit of a lemon, to be honest. The nib was of poor quality, and the rear plug on the end where the ink goes in during the manufacture, it just kept on popping out slightly. I didn't enjoy drawing with it more than any other pen. I tried to use it as a diary pen for a short period of time, and as soon as I switched to another pen I was really happy. So I think this is the perfect use for this rubbish pen, is to put it in a rubbish homemade vibrating pen contraption. Man, I wish I could talk more. I wish I could just open my mouth and deep and meaningful things would just come out. Well, I often catch myself thinking of deep and meaningful things, but they never manage to come out of my mouth. I don't know why. Perhaps I just need practice. It's a bit like making art. You may be able to think of amazing imagery. You might be able to remember, or you might be able to think you can remember anyway, a scene from a holiday, or that time you went to the zoo as a kid. But if you were to pick up a pen and actually try to recreate it, if you're not used to drawing something, you might really struggle. The human brain is quite a strange thing. Sometimes I think there's a bit of an illusion of memory happening there when we think we can remember certain visual imagery. It's a bit strange. I mean, we could easily recognize a place. We could pick a face out of 100 faces, right? Out of 1,000 faces. If it was someone you recognize, you know, someone you knew personally. 1,000,000 faces even, you know. But picking up a pen to draw that face accurately, even after you finish the drawing, you'll say to yourself, well, that's not exactly what they look like. Yet you were the one drawing it. It's like there's different parts of the brain which are fighting against themselves, you know. We've got all sorts of strange mental compartments up in there which don't communicate to one another effectively. Or maybe we just delude ourselves into thinking that we can accurately remember things, but our inability to perfectly recreate them reveals the truth. The truth that we probably don't know what anything really looks like. But our brain just produces like a loosely defined catalogue of the parts of an image. So we could easily recognize it again, but not perfectly recreate it. Like how a computer can recognize a certain file by using a very small crypto hash of it. The hash doesn't contain the original image or file, but there's just like a mathematical algorithm that generates some kind of thing from it. I don't know. I can't remember how it works. I thought I knew how it worked. I remember lots of things that I can't describe though. Same problem again. See, I was trying to describe a certain problem, but then that very problem I was trying to describe came to get me. How ironic. Oh dear. Right, the battery on my phone is about to go flat. And then I'll have fun tonight trying to edit this video on my phone as well, so I can upload it. Because the electricity still won't be coming on for some time. I've got mountains and mountains of power lines to try and put back up. Oh, it's shocking. I really do not like editing videos on my phone. I don't know how anyone else just thinks that there are no good video editors on Android. I'm sorry. There's hardly any good video editors on iOS either. iOS and Android, they're just toy operating systems. Every time I try and look for an app on Android, I will find one that's, somewhat capable. As soon as I find a capable one, it will usually cost me it'll cost like $20. I'm going, oh, okay. Then I really dig into its features and I discover that it only has like a fifth of the features that a free desktop version has. Like there are tons of video editors on Windows and Linux as well, which are very capable. But on Android, they're just kind of very functional toys in comparison, I mean, if you want to make a certain type of video, they might be okay. They do cater for a certain spectrum of people. But if you want to make something which kind of is a bit of an outliner, a video which has uncommon video editing techniques in it, doesn't work as well. So I'm going to try and make this video as simple as possible, just putting lots of cuts in it basically. Man, this thing I've drawn in the bottom left hand corner looks like some kind of gross intestinal problem. Wonderful. That looks really terrible. Okay, now it's time to tell you something completely unrelated, but it's kind of been on my mind. There is a house, not too far from my house, and for many years it was a flat, blank paddock. It had no features on it whatsoever. It was kind of, very unassuming kind of block of land. No one ever looked at it. No one even knew it existed. It was just a bit of space. That seemed to be completely forgotten. Until one day, somebody decided to buy it. Now this someone, who I have never met, clearly had never moved into the country before, or close enough to the country anyway. So they must have had certain ideas of what a country property is meant to look like, from all sorts of kind of popular media that he or she might have consumed. So they started to construct this rather bizarre looking kind of ranch, I suppose. They put a house in the middle of it with a kind of red tin roof. They put a big kind of wooden Amish looking barn on it as well. And then they decided to put palm trees around the house, which I thought, okay, that looks, palm trees, a bit odd in an Australian kind of property. Ranch style house, also another odd thing. But okay, we'll see where this goes. And then they got more land moving equipment than I've ever seen in my entire life. And he almost made his own personal mountain range. I could scarcely believe the amount of work these people put into building this thing. Anyway, the end result was something that it basically looked absolutely nothing like any country property I had ever seen. It basically ended up looking like a parody of a country property. I'm not sure if that's what their intention was, but I do find it kind of funny, to be honest. Every time I drove past, I kind of laugh. I mean, it's probably not good to laugh at such a thing because I am laughing out of kind of a sense of superiority, I suppose, which is not very nice. But I don't know, I just can't help myself. They also collected probably every old farming implement in like, I don't know, 50-kilometre radius, and kind of lined their entire paddocks with it, like some kind of car yard or something, which also looks rather hilarious to me. Anyway, they had the money to do that, and that's what they decided to spend the money on, and, well, I don't think I should judge, really, no. I mean, I do judge every time I drive past, but I shouldn't be judging. That's what they enjoy, buying a block of land and making a parody of a country property on it, covered with 100 rusty farming implements, a house surrounded by palm trees. Anyway, they seem to have plenty of farming equipment now to care for the 2 horses and 4 cows, whatever they have. It's a bit overboard, like the whole property. But even though I don't understand it, I'm so glad that it exists, actually. I do kind of like looking at it. Kind of like this thing here. I have literally no idea what it is, but I did enjoy drawing it, and sure, it doesn't serve any kind of higher purpose, but I like looking at it. Maybe you do too. I don't know. I basically told the entire story so you wouldn't judge my art. There you go. So yeah, that was my ulterior motive. I see a bit of a head just here. Just noticed it. Bit of a head of some kind of animal. This is like the crest of the animal just here. It's like sleeping. Got a closed eye just here. Kind of scales on the face. It looks a bit like some kind of dinosaur. I wonder if this Pigma Micron is getting a bit on the dry side. Haven't even used it for that long. Just don't know if it's as inky as it used to be. Not that any pen is really meant to cope with this kind of abuse, to be honest. I don't know, I just like to complain, basically. I'm a complainer. No matter how good something is, I always find something to complain about. Unless it's really, really cheap, then I don't complain about it as much. So I might just do some light shapes, like they're kind of in the background. This main section's in the foreground. And then I'm going to stop drawing, because I now have been drawing for like 54 minutes. And I need to get up and have a bit of a stretch. And then I need to spend the rest of the night editing this video on my phone. Usually takes me like 5 times as long to like edit a video than it is to record one. Oh, my phone's about to die. Okay, well, time to go. Goodbye, goodbye. Be safe. Don't swim in floodwaters. Eat plenty of vegetables. Make some art. That almost completely like kind of wore down the nib of this Micron. It's not in a good way anymore. It's kind of turned into something that feels a bit like a chisel tip. Focus. Can't see it there. No, you can't. How am I going to edit a good video out of this? I have no idea.